In this lesson, we're going to look at how to solve more advanced quadratic equation. Now in here, we've been given a coefficient for x squared. In this kind of situation, what do? We have ourselves some area for the rough work, or we leave ourselves some space to do the rough work. So I'm just going to write here rough work. So I'll do my rough work in here, then I'll write down my answer just underneath the question. What we have to do in here, the first thing we have to do is multiply 2 times by 12. So the number before x squared, that has to be multiplied by the last number that you see in your equation. So 2 times by 12, that would be minus 24. And you write 5x in here. Now you think of two number. If you multiply, it will give you 24. And then if you add those two number, it should give you 5. So think of two number. If you multiply them, it should give you 24. And then if you add those number, it should give you 5. So 8 times 3, that will give us 24. So 8 and 3. 8 times 3 will give us 24. Now, how do I put them? So when I multiply them, I can get minus 24. And when I add them, I should get 5. So I'm going to have a positive 8 and negative 3. So when I add them, I get 5. When I multiply them, I get minus 24. Now what I've got to do, I just need to add x next to them. That is my rough work. Now I'm going to come back to my initial question. I'm going to write 2x squared. Now, instead of 5x, I'm going to write 8x minus 3x. So plus 8x minus 3x minus 12 equal to 0. So all of this was just to replace 5x with something else that when I add it, still give me 5x. Once I've done this, then the next thing I've got to do is factorize these two separately. So I'm going to factorize the first two term and factorize the second two term separately. When I do this, so I would get in here a common factor between 2x squared and 8x. So a common factor between them two would be 2x. So I'm going to write 2x out, and then I'll write a bracket, open up a bracket. I'm going to say to myself, what shall I multiply 2x so I can get 2x squared? That would be just x. What shall I multiply 2x by so I can get 8x? That will be positive 4. I'll close the bracket. I can check my answer. So 2x times by x, that'll give me 2x squared. 2x multiplied by 4, that would give me 8x. Now I'm going to simplify the second term. So when I simplify the second term, I'm going to look at the common factor between them two. The common factor between them would be minus 3. So I'll write minus 3 in here. Open up a bracket. Then I'm going to say to myself, what shall I multiply minus 3 so I can get minus 3x? I've got to multiply it just by x. And then I'm going to say, what shall I multiply minus 3 so I can get minus 12? So that'll be plus 4. Now, can you see that in both cases, okay, I've got the same number inside the bracket. So what I've got to do now, I need to factorize this even further. So these are a common factor. So I'll just write down x plus 4. Here you go, to get rid of these two common. And then I'm going to have another bracket. And then I'll write down whatever I left up with. 2x minus 3 equal to 0. And this will be my final answer. Here you go. Here you go. So I've got another similar question in here. 3x squared plus 14x plus 8 equal to 0. Now, as you can see, again, x squared has a coefficient. So when you come across this kind of question, okay, where you have a quadratic equation and x squared has a coefficient. So what we have to do in here, we need to have a space so we can do our rough work. We do the same thing. We multiply the coefficient of x squared by the last number you see. So in this case, coefficient of x squared will be 3, and then the last number that we have in here, that will be 8. So I'm going to multiply 3 by 8. So if I say 3 times 8, that'll give me 24. Once you've done that, then what you do, can you see over here 14x? You bring it in just before 12, before 24x. There you go. So I brought 14x in here. Now you got to think of two numbers. When you multiply them, it should give you 24. And when you add those numbers, that should give you 14. This is very simple and it's straightforward. So two number, if I multiply, it can give me 24. That is 12 and 2. So I'm going to write 12 and 2. So 12 and 2. Yep, 12 times by 2 gives me 24. 12 plus 2, that gives me 14. Now the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to write 12x. Since this is positive 2 plus 2x. My rough work is done. I'm going to come back to my initial equation. I'm going to write this again, 3x squared plus. Instead of 14x, now I'm going to replace it with 12x plus 2x. Here you go. So 12x plus 2x, that gives me 14x plus 8 equal to 0. What do I do next on it is I'm going to factorize the first two term and the second two term. And when I factorize this, I'm going to look at the common factor between them. So the common factor between 3x squared and 12x will be 3x. So I'm going to take 3x out and then open a bracket. I'm going to say to myself, what shall I multiply 3x so I can get 3x squared? So that'll be just x plus. What shall I multiply 3x by so I can get 12x? So that'll be 4. Okay. So here you go, that's done. Now I'm going to factorize the second term. So common factor between them would be 2, positive 2. So I'm going to write plus 2 here. I'm going to open up a bracket. So I've taken the common factor out, which is 2, and then I'm going to say to myself, what shall I multiply 2 so I can get 2x? Well, that will be just x. What am I going to multiply 2 by so I can get 8? Just before. And then I'll close my bracket, equal to 0. Can you see inside the bracket, we will end up with similar numbers and x, or let's say similar terms. Once I've done this, then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to factorize this even further. So I've got x plus 4 is a common factor. So I'm going to open a bracket. I'm going to write x plus 4. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to have another bracket. And then I'll write up whatever I left up with. So what is left up here? 3x plus 2. There you go. And that will be my final answer. I hope you found this useful, and I will upload more questions. Thank you.